we haven't changed the last prediction, the extended 552nd prediction, but we have changed the Pentecost, the date of the Laodicean 2NC Pentecost, because nothing happened on Tebeth 5. So we've now moved it to Tebeth 7, and it's all because of the, we're never quite sure whether you should run the Pentecost from the festival Sabbath or from the weekly Sabbath. So we were running it from 16, 2005, when Laodicea, we thought, was appointed over its 2NC saints. But it should have been run, with hindsight we can see, from Tishri 18. Tishri 16 is the first day of the week after the festival Sabbath of the first day of booths, which is Tishri 15. Tishri 18 is the first day of the actual calendar week in 2005. And we get that date by not when they were appointed, because, well, actually no. You can get it from then. Because if you then counted the Pentecost after Tishri 18, 2005, you get Chislev 7, 2005. Then you have the feeding of the 4,000, which applies to Laodicea, with the 7 loaves and the 7 baskets of fragments. And these are 4,000 days from 2005 Chislev 7, the Laodicean 2NC Pentecost calculated from weekly Sabbaths, to 2016 Tebeth 17, which is the very day when the Laodiceans come into Zoa, which ends their feeding. So that's a perfect fit, and that confirms that the Laodicean 2NC Pentecost should be Chislev 7, which is 4,000 days before 2005, which is 4,000 days of Mark 8 before, of the feeding of the 4,000, before 2016 Tebeth 17. Okay, so the 7 loaves would run again from 2005 Chislev 7 to 2012 Chislev 7. Then 7 baskets of fragments, which weren't said to be full of fragments, would run to, if they were full, it would run to Tammuz 7, 2013, and the 6th basket would end, and the 7th would begin on Sivan 7, 2013. Now on Sivan 7, 2013, we became operational over the 1NC reserves, having been appointed at 1NC first fruits. This was our Zoa appointment, which was necessary because we die to Adam and therefore lose all our appointments and get resurrected non-Adamically without noticing that you've died. It's whilst you sleep, but sleep is death, first death anyway. That was Nisan 18, 2013, and the Pentecost after that is Sivan 7. So that's actually when the 7 baskets ended. I suppose you could argue that either the baskets are just Chislev to Sivan inclusively, Chislev, Tebeth, Shabbat, Eilah, Nisan, Sivan, or you could argue that there's one day, or part of a day, in the 7th basket, because it actually runs from Chislev 7 to Sivan 7, which is dead on 6 months. And then the 2 fishes would take you to the end of Laodicea, which was Elul 1, 2013. So you've got a couple of months of, is it 7? No, it was a few fishes, wasn't it? Sorry, that takes you 7 loaves and a few fishes, a few little fishes. So that takes you to the end of the true church of Laodicea. Anyway, from a Pentecost standpoint, the 4,000 days fits perfectly from Chislev 7. So that means that the first fruits was Tebeth 18. And that means that the late Laodicean Pentecost is Tebeth 7, which is now when we expect Jesus to turn up on the clouds of the 2 fire signs. And there's one other thing, as always. Satan's lease ended on 2009 Tishri 14. So we had thought we were appointed over Laodicea on Tishri 16, reappointed back over them, having lost the appointment in 2005, Tishri 14, and they were appointed Tishri 18. We thought initially we were appointed back on Tishri 16, which is festival first fruits, because priestly 2NC appointments are normally on festival days. But this is post Satan's lease, so this is a secular thing, not priestly. It's to do with kingship. And in fact, 2NCs are not under a malediction. So, and neither is Jesus, even though the one NCs were under the Kingdom Gentile Times for 7 years from 2009 Tishri 15. So he could actually appoint us as secular king over the two NCs. Not that we've made any secular laws, but in truth, if we're right, Satan wasn't the secular king of anybody other than actually the Jews at that time, and we were appointed secular king over the two NCs, and that appointment would be on the first of a real week, because it's a secular appointment. But anyway, the appointment will be made by Jesus, and since it's post-Satanic lease, Jesus would be appointed on the first day of the physical week, not a virtual week from the festival Sabbath. So Jesus would have been appointed in place of Satan as ruler of mankind, less physical Israel, which was still under the ministry payback deal for 66 days till 2013 Nisan 20. 2009 Tishri 18, first of the week, Jesus would have been appointed with a post-Satanic lease appointment after the 6,000-year lease of Satan had ended. So that would mean that he could only appoint us in that capacity on Tishri 18. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning is. The appointment had to be Tishri 16 or Tishri 18. It wasn't 16, it has to be 18. The 4,000 days of Mark 8 confirms it was Tishri 18. And also there's an argument that since it could be a secular appointment, and since it's a post-Satanic lease appointment, it will be the physical week rather than the festival week. So for those reasons, we've had to move the Pentecost, the Laodicean 2NC Pentecost, which is when we were appointed back over them, having lost them in the first place. I mean, and the reason, as I said in the previous talk, is that there is this Pentecost, is that we were divided in two, and a Pentecost is an installation over a specific group of people. So having divided us in two, they have a different appointment day to us, because we're a different group of people to them. But we're unified again now, by appointment, but not in fact, although that has to follow. We've moved the first fruits to Tishri 18, and so the Pentecost is Chislev 7, and so the late Pentecost is Tebeth 7. And so that is the 2 Kings 1 Chief of the second 50, and it is the fulfillment of 1 Kings 18 being the Pentecost after the go back 7 times, making the Pentecostal or Jubilee pattern. And the other amusing thing is that one guy in the church, Alan, he got so fed up with the coming back to more and more Pentecost that was supposed to be the fulfillment of 2 Kings 1 and 1 Kings 18 and Jesus coming on a cloud and the fire signs and all the rest of it. He said, well, maybe we go back to 7 of these. And in fact, we have. We go back 7 times to 7 2NC Pentecosts from 2009 to 2016, the last one of which being Heshvan 21. And then we've had 7 Pentecosts since then. This is the 7th. These are attempts to get the Pentecost of the contest. So this is our 7th attempt after the going back 7 times, because it came about on the 7th, it says, as well as going back 7 times. And it's the late Laodicean 2NC Pentecost on Tebeth 7, which is December 11 or December 12. We're just about to come into it in a couple of hours as this video is being shot. So that, we hope, is the correct Pentecost for the fulfillment of 2 Kings of the second, of the chief of the second 50, which is the late Pentecost, Laodicean 2NC Pentecost, and for 1 Kings 18. It's also, incidentally, the very last day of Jericho, because with Jericho we were appointed, Jericho was given into our hands when we were appointed back not only over the Laodicean 2NCs but also the 1NCs. That appointment, First New Covenant Saints, that was 2010 Sivan 7, was the Pentecost after the 2010 Nisan 18 appointment over them, and that's when Jericho Laodicea was given into our hand, and you go on 1 time for 6 days, and the 7th day you go on 7 times. That's 6 years plus 7 months. That takes you to Tebeth 7. And the other beautiful thing about this new interpretation, which we didn't have before, is that the instructions in Jericho refer to 7. You blow the trumpets in the 7th day to represent 7 festivals, which are after, which the 7th day of the campaign runs from 2016 Sivan 7 to 2017 Sivan 7, and the festivals in that day, now that Tishri 1 has been replaced by Tebeth 1, they are Tishri 10, Atonement Day, Tishri 11, New 2NC, First Fruits, Booths, Tishri 18, Laodicean 2NC, First Fruits, Solemn Assembly, which is the 5th, the 2NC, New 2NC Pentecost, Heshvan 30, the 6th, then the Laodicean 2NC Pentecost, which is 7, the 7th, and the late version of that is Tebeth 7. So the 7th trumpet of the instructions is Tebeth 7, the 7th festival in the 7th campaign year, which runs from 2016 Sivan 7 to 2017 Sivan 7 of the Jericho campaign. But the of the instructions of the campaign, sorry. And then the 7th trumpet of the campaign itself, rather than the instructions to the campaign, is the 7th Rosh Hashanah trumpet, a Dartford trumpet from Tebeth 1, which takes you to Tebeth 7. So we now, for the first time, have the 7th trumpet of the campaign being the 7th trumpet of the instructions, being Tebeth 7, which is also the last day of the 7th month in the 7th year of the campaign, when the wall falls down. So the wall falls down on Tebeth 7, 7th trumpet of the campaign is Tebeth 7, the 7th trumpet of the instructions is Tebeth 7, and the Laodicean late 2NC Pentecost is Tebeth 7, which is 4,000 days after Laodicea was appointed in 2005, Chislev 7, and that is why, that's the justification for this date, December 11-12, 2016, for the 2 fire signs, the 2 nuclear terrorist attacks, fulfilling 1 Kings 18 on Manhattan and on London from the Hudson, with producing a mushroom cloud above the Hudson in Manhattan and a mushroom cloud above the Thames around Dartford in east of London. Thank you.